प्रसिद्ध लेखिका श्रीमती सरोज बाला भारतीय राजस्व सेवा की प्रतिष्ठित अधिकारी रही हैं। वेदों और महाकाव्यों की ऐतिहासिकता और पुरातनता के बारे में पता लगाने के लिए उन्होंने पूरी तरह से बहुअनुशासनात्मक वैज्ञानिक शोध में स्वयं को सराबोर कर लिया। उन्होंने 8 अलग अलग वैज्ञानिक विषयों से संबंधित प्रतिष्ठित वैज्ञानिकों से संपर्क किया और कई संगोष्ठियों और सम्मेलनों में भाग लिया। 2009 से 2017 के दौरान वेदों पर वैज्ञानिक शोध संस्थान की वे निदेशक रहीं। उनकी पुस्तक वैदिक युग एवं रामायण काल की ऐतिहासिकता हिंदी और अंग्रेजी में प्रकाशित होकर यशस्वी हुई। उन्होंने कई विश्वविद्यालयों के साथ साथ अन्य प्रतिष्ठित मंचों पर इस विषय पर प्रस्तुतियां भी की हैं। अधिकांश टीवी चैनल इस विषय पर विशेषज्ञ के रूप में उनकी टिप्पणियां प्रसारित करते रहे हैं। पूर्व राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर APJ अब्दुल कलाम ने इस पुस्तक की रचना हेतु उन्हें बहुमूल्य मार्गदर्शन प्रदान किया। जैसे मैंने बताया, पिछले वर्ष 15 अक्टूबर को यह पुस्तक, इसका हिंदी संस्करण रामायण की कहानी विज्ञान की जुबानी संघ के सह सरकार्यवाह माननीय डॉक्टर कृष्ण गोपाल और केंद्रीय मंत्री माननीय डॉक्टर महेश शर्मा के करकमलों से लोकार्पित हुई थी। वो पुस्तक आज यहाँ बाहर हिंदी में उपलब्ध भी है। मैं आग्रह करता हूँ श्रीमती सरोज बाला से वे लेख के प्रतिवेदन प्रस्तुत करें।
Very good evening to all of you. First of all, let me express my very special gratefulness to Dr. Suresh Prabhu ji. I shouldn't announce it publicly, but I have no hesitation in saying that he is one man who I admire the most today. And I am so lucky that I made him a request that my earnest desire is, whatever this subject is, that you kindly release this book. And I'm so grateful that he's been so busy, extremely, and he agreed to spare some time. I was also very lucky, I consider him very lucky for me, because for this research of mine, which book is coming out today, was awarded doctorate by GJ University of Science and Technology, and I was amazed that I was given this respect and honor when Dr. Suresh Prabhu was awarded the honor. So we all know, nobody needs to say any more words about the kind of efficiency, the kind of dedication, the kind of honesty, the kind of efficiency, dynamism he displays is simply amazing, and that also you don't expect from a politician. With these very few words, very few words about him added to what Dr. Shakti Sinha ji said, I'll proceed about the book. This book is Ramayan Retold with scientific evidences, and it is dedicated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. It's dedicated fully and wholeheartedly. It starts with a quote from him. The quote is, "In India, the core culture goes beyond time. It precedes the arrival of Islam. It precedes the arrival of Christianity. It is when we accept India in all its splendid glory that, with a shared past as a base, we can look forward to a shared future of peace and prosperity, of creation and abundance. Our past is there with us forever. It has to be nurtured in good faith, not destroyed in exercises of political one-upmanship." That is the objective with which the book is written. And that is why I claim and declare that every single word incorporated in this book has an authentic scientific background. And the quote, relevant reference is given there. Not one sentence is included in the book which does not have authentic scientific base. Now, what is the methodology? Methodology is, this book is, very different kind of thing. I can't go to the story and the details or everything. I'll just explain the methodology and show 6-7 slides if it would be possible. I'll take 5 minutes to explain what the methodology is. I first decided there are more than 300 Ramayans in market in different languages, which is the original one. Undoubtedly and without any dispute, I think this was Valmiki Ramayan, who composed it during the lifetime of Shri Ram. And he also said, as he composed, he never wrote, he has not said written. He composes the Ramayan, and then he says, how do I pass it on to future generations? Then he says, Love Kush are there. So, kanthasth is the word he used. So I make them remember the whole poem, let them narrate to the future generations. That was our parampara for a long time, Shruti Smriti. Compose, narrate, hear, remember, again narrate, again remember, keep on passing. All languages of the world are first coming into oral thing and then later on reduced to grammar and writing. It might have been reduced to writing somewhere around 3,000 years back, as the evidence is revealed, but it was composed 7,000 years back. Now, why did when there were 300 Ramayans, why should one write another one? The reason was that most of those Ramayans were written with a devotee's angle, that you worship Ram as God. So he doesn't remain an ideal character who you could follow. I remember my own children saying, why do you tell us to follow somebody who is a god? We can only follow human beings. Very correct. No, I said, let me investigate through scientific evidences whether Ram was a mythological character, a mythological god, or he was a historical man, human being, who was considered, treated, or converted into a god because of his great works by his future generations. Here I will like to quote 3-4 lines from Sumitra Mahajanji's, she is the Speaker of Lok Sabha. She was kind enough to give a foreword to this book. In her foreword, she said, inquisitive minds have always wanted to know if Shri Ram was a mythical god or a real historical personality with divine qualities. They seek empirical and scientific evidence to validate the assertions about him. This book, Ramayan Retold with Scientific Evidences, seeks to answer this question in a commendable way by presenting a credible account of life and times of Lord Ram. The book narrates the important events of Valmiki Ramayan, indicating exact dates of their occurrences. I again repeat, exact dates of their occurrences. As you turn the pages of the book, the entire story unfolds, covering the social, economic, and political fabric of Ramayana era. The best features and a big attraction of the book are the celestial and geographical depictions, that is astronomical sky views, which I'll just give you a glimpse a little later, which match the chronological timeline of the Ramayana scene by scene. One look at the pictures of 7,000 years old excavated artifacts depicted in this book will make us proud of the historicity of our Indian culture and heritage. Interestingly, most of the items described in Ramayana, like arrowheads, precious gemstones, gold, silver coins, rings, clay utensils, rice, barley, all have been found excavated in India by archaeological survey and dated more than 7,000 years old. The unfortunate part is that those archaeological reports have not been made a part of our school and college syllabus, but they are very much there with the Archaeological Survey of India. I couldn't have, no, please switch off for the time being. Then, what is the methodology? I picked up Valmiki Ramayan of Gita Press, Gorakhpur, with English translation, verse by verse. and very religiously followed that text without taking into account the later variations, which obviously had the impact of later poets' personality and the times. Each reference to the planetary positions, then planetarium software was first taken and it was seen on what date those could be seen. Then in some of the I have been working on this subject for more than 10 years now. Then presentations were made to various astronomers, scientists, and their criticisms were obtained. Some of them said that in other softwares, the date as is depicted by planetarium software doesn't come out to be the same. So I went into almost all the credible softwares, most important Stellarium, which is NASA ephemeris, and NASA's club follows it. Of course, ours is a computer desktop version. NASA will have very big softwares also. Now, then we did on Stellarium also. Then we realized that whatever sky views Valmiki has described in a row, they match without half a day's difference. I insist, without half a day's difference. Like Valmiki has mentioned Chandra Tithi, you know, in India we normally say Ekam Dvitiya, ya Purnima, ya Amavasya. They are all the same. The amazing part was, if planetarium showed that Chaitramant Shukal Paksh Navmi, those sky views which have been shown here also, were seen on Chaitramant Shukal Paksh Navmi, then 5114 BC is the only year when they were seen. Only year, I repeat, in last 25,920 years. And I would love if any one of you downloads that software and tells me that on a different date also they could be seen. Then I found that we take Stellarium software. Stellarium showed it 40 days later, that is on 19th February, again 5114 BC. But that is also showing Chaitramant Shukal Paksh Navmi. You know there is a method of knowing whether it is Chaitramant Shukal Paksh Navmi, because it will be 23 or 24 days earlier that the moon will be in Chitra Nakshatra. Then the Chaitramant would start. So, same. In very short, I will say, very short, the only thing is that a year does not have 365 days and 6 hours. It actually has 365 days, 5 hours, 46 minutes, and 48 minutes and 46 seconds. So there is a difference of 11 minutes, 14 seconds every year. Earlier, Julian calendar never took this into account. In 1582 AD, Pope Gregorian made the reform, and after 141 AD, I repeat, after 141 AD, this adjustment of 11 minutes, 14 seconds every year, which becomes 1 day in 131 years, was done. So planetarium is based on that. But Stellarium or Voyager or so many other softwares, they mostly follow the calendar, which has made corrections for last 12,000 years. Now, Stellarium has made this correction of 1 day in 131 years for last 12,500 years. So naturally, in 5,500 years, there was a difference of 40 days. So exactly after 40 days of planetarium software, Stellarium will keep on showing you the same sky view. So Stellarium is a free software. Why I have incorporated and made it complicated? So many people told me those two softwares are making it complicated. But planetarium is now out. They have not given later versions after 2008-9. Stellarium is the kicking and the most popular software now, free, available for download on net. You use any of your systems, it is available. So you can verify any of the facts we have said in the book, that this is the Stellarium date. Tithi would be the same as Valmiki says. So you start from birth of Ram, go to when he goes for 14 years of exile, or the same sky view you will see exactly on 25th birthday. Then he fights war with Khardushan. Before that, there is an eclipse. You will see an eclipse from Panchvati. Hanuman will go to trace Sita in Sri Lanka, and there would be an eclipse, lunar eclipse. You will see it on the same date, Tithi, which Valmiki says, in the same year and in the same month. And both the softwares will show. This is only a sample. 12 sequential sky views in a row of Shri Ram's life have been shown, which give the date sequence from 5114 BC of his birth, coming right up to 5076. After he has killed Ravana, I think there are no details of sky views somehow. Maybe in Shruti Samriti Parampara they got lost somewhere. So that all that is traced. But in every chapter, this is only small part. Then we take everything like we take whatever is the depiction there of items, and we go to archaeology. I'll just request the 4 slides to be shown, and the lights, which some of lights could be switched off, will just very quick, just show those 4 slides. If the lights of the auditorium can be switched off, that will be great. You can show Sun in Aries. Circle is there, red circle is there. Sun in Aries. Venus, yes. Venus in Pisces. And this Mars in Capricornus, Saturn in Libra. I think I can. Saturn in Libra, I just showed one. And Moon and Jupiter in Cancer. The interesting part is, Valmiki says that Moon was at that time traveling from Gemini to Cancer. Obviously, it will move from Gemini to Cancer. That's right. But then you start 4 years earlier, and you see the whole scene as described by Valmiki. Like this, I have just put 28 sky views in the book, trying to show them, make them them as interesting as possible. Next one, please. Next one. I just run. This is when Ram goes to 14 years of exile. This was exactly his 25th birthday. And all this is described on the basis of Dashrath's positions. That is, it was a very bad time for her, because at that time, Sun and Mars were both together in Reti, that is Pisces. And other planetary configurations are the same. And you won't find in any other date in last 25,920 years, I repeat. Then we can go to next. Next is when in Panchvati, this is very, very significant dating. In Panchvati, before war with Khardushan, there is a eclipse described beautifully, and it is said that eclipse was there right in the midday, and Mars at that time was in the middle of planets. Eclipse will happen once in 2 years or 3 years, but when Mars would be in the middle, and there would be 3 planets on one side, Sun, Moon, and Saturn, and 3 planets on the right side, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, that would be in thousands of years that it would happen. Next. This is when Hanuman spots Sitaji in Ashoka Grove. Out of 28 slides, I just picked up 4 to give a glimpse of what is there in the book. So you see Sun and Moon exactly at 180 degrees. This is a full moon day, and you see the moon. Show the moon, right? Green, right, moon, extreme, yeah. This moon is looking like Amavasya ka moon. This is a full moon day. So this is how this software does the dating of references, and this is what Valmiki's observational astronomy, he obviously didn't have software, is being validated by today's science. Next. This is just because I don't want to take too long. Our honorable chief guest has so many programs. I am very, very grateful to him for giving me this time before his address. This is the route right up to Sri Lanka, which Shri Ram had followed. A lot of help was derived for this by me from Shri Ram Avatar Sharma's book also on this. In the footsteps of Shri Ram. I think he is present here. Next. This is what I would like to finally explain and say why I did this. Dr. APJ Kalam gave me valuable guidance When I showed him and went to invite him for my 2011 seminar, and he was kind enough to come and give the inaugural address, he told me, until you prove where the Setu is, Ramsetu is, and what was the sea level at that time, you have not done half the job. So I went to both the Ramsetu, and I also went to National Institute of Oceanography, Goa. And luckily, I had gone to them in 2011, but they had done a study in 1996 of sea level fluctuations. These are the sea level fluctuations of last 15,000 years. You can see at the top 0, 3,000, top 6,000, 9,000, left 12,000, and 15,000. So our material time, our astronomical date gives 5,114 BC, which means about 7,000 years back. And see the sea level 7,100 years back? Yeah. It's exactly 3 meters below the present level. And what is the level depth at which Ramsetu is submerged? Exactly about 3 meters. So I was amazed. The kind of knowledge that great man had, and it gave such a great, I didn't know what will happen, but then the scientists from Goa came and made presentations in quite a few seminars and conferences and explained their whole concept, how they do this dating and all that. So it was such a big news was made that USA, somebody has said, Setu is very much there. It is a natural formation with filling up at 5 places. And Valmiki Ramayan gives in detail 5 days of filling. And it is later Ramayans, this is later devotees who have said, you write on the stone Ram, 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 and it all gets connected. That's Astha, we respect that also. But Valmiki Ramayan is a pure science. It only says at 5 places that the shallow place is identified, and then at 5 places filling is done under the guidance of Nal, and the Setu is constructed. This is the sea level curve on which we have given quite a few details in the book. Next. Next. Yeah. This is just to give you a glimpse of what has been found below the Babri Masjid excavations. This is not from anywhere else. ASI report Ayodhya 2002-3, which was done at the behest of Allahabad High Court, and report submitted to them. And I have taken it from 2010 ADJ. They have been taken. Now you see for yourself. These were the pillars which were tied up to the biers of Babri Masjid. You can imagine whether they were of a temple. And below are just 2 samples. Book, of course, has, I am just showing you 10 slides. Book has 112 colored images or like that. It's almost like a coffee table book. Next. These I have identified. They are quite a large number of, more than 40-50 archaeological excavated artifacts shown. But I have shown these only to say that a lot of hullabaloo has been made, that in Ramayana a ring has been mentioned and a Chudamani has been mentioned. Ring is sent by Ram to Sita through Hanuman, and Chudamani is brought by Hanuman from Sita to Shri Ram. That in India these ornaments were not there prior to 1500 BC when we were not civilized. More than 5,000 years back, from Mohenjo-daro, this Chudamani was. Chudamani is ornament you wear either on forehead or on the neck, similar kind of thing. And then the spiral and the rings which have been found. So there is nothing to disbelieve. There is very much most of the things are there. Next. Next. This is just to show the tremendous knowledge of geography Valmiki ji has. When Ram has gone to exile, and Bharat is coming from Kake Pradesh to Ayodhya, there the whole sequence of rivers he crosses is given. And some of the rivers have dried up, which have been, this is ISRO Jodhpur Center image, a remote sensing image. They are in the same sequence today. There the reference is to Ravi, Satluj, Byas, Ghaggar is, is a part of Saraswati, and Yamuna, and Gomti, Ganga and Gomti. They are given in the same sequence in Valmiki Ramayan. His geographic knowledge was so perfect. Okay, that's over. Slides are over. I'll just conclude. So, archaeological evidences have been included in a whole lot of detail, and paleobotanical evidences of what plants and trees existed at that time. And what the Birbalsani Institute of Paleobotany has to say about the date of such plants found in India, they are included. And the most important part is genetic studies correlated with genealogy. Ram is the 64th ruler of Suryavansh dynasty, and prior to them 63 rulers' full names have been given, and these dynasties and the tribes, Kol, Bhil, Gond, which are the main tribes in Ramayana, and they are still the main tribes of India, and there is no much difference in the genetic structure of these. All of falsehood spread all around. Just close that and lift the screen. See why I was so keen to say this thing on this forum in Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, which basically deals with modern history. According to me, our perceptions of ancient history have been so badly distorted that our perceptions of current history could not be right. Our perception of ancient history, you know what has been said, some Aryans came from outside. They pushed the original Indians, they made them tribals and Dalits, and pushed them as Dravidians to the south. And they came and started ruling over India. What could be more wrong than this? I have been doing research along with a team of more than 20 prominent scientists from Rigved to Ramayana to Mahabharata to Atharvaved. That is the date sequence also. And we are following the same Vedic culture and civilization. Same way you read about Ram's marriage, same genealogy of their parentage would be studied, same kind of pharaohs would be taken, same kind of you start from anywhere. All these 8,000, 9,000 years, our culture, of course, it will keep on varying and slightly altering. So the perceptions of modern history got so badly distorted because we distorted our ancient history. So we need to first correct our perceptions of ancient history, write it purely scientifically, as Dr. APJ Kalam used to say. He repeatedly said, I wish somebody writes history on purely scientific basis so that there are shared memories of the past and we don't fight about our history. Thank you so much.
धन्यवाद आंटी, आपने ये जो स्लाइड सिखाकर यहाँ पर हमारा एक तरह से ज्ञानवर्धन किया है, उसके लिए आपका आभार, क्योंकि प्रायः ये जानकारियाँ लोगों के मन में नहीं है और इसके कारण कुछ लोग अनायास भ्रम उत्पन्न करने की स्थिति करते हैं, जिसका समाधान इस पुस्तक के माध्यम से हो पाएगा। माननीय श्री सुरेश प्रभु जी केंद्रीय मंत्री हैं, वाणिज्य, उद्योग और नागर विमानन मंत्रालयों का महत्वपूर्ण दायित्व आप सफलतापूर्वक निर्वहन कर रहे हैं। राजनीति में सरलता और सुचिता के आप प्रतिमान हैं। अत्यंत व्यस्त होने के बावजूद भी उन्होंने यहाँ आने का अपना वादा पूरा किया और एक कार्यक्रम में उनको जाना है, फिर भी उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, ये स्लाइड शो देखकर और लेखिका का पूरा उद्बोधन सुनकर ही मैं यहाँ से प्रस्थान करूँगा। मैं उनसे विनम्र आग्रह करता हूँ, कृपया आएँ, अपने उद्बोधन से हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें, क्योंकि वे 3 विभागों के मंत्री तो हैं, परंतु उसके बावजूद बड़ी पैनी दृष्टि रखते हैं और कई विषयों के बारे में उनका एकदम स्पष्ट चिंतन है, जो हमें यहाँ देखने को मिलेगा उनके उद्बोधन में। और आज के हमारे इस कार्यक्रम में डॉक्टर विनय सहस्रबुद्धे को भी आना था, परंतु किन्हीं अपरिहार्य कारणों से वे नहीं आ पाए। उन्होंने इसके लिए अपनी असमर्थता प्रकट की है। हम आदरणीय सुरेश प्रभु जी को सुनने के उत्सुक हैं। मैं आग्रह करता हूँ, कृपया आएँ, हमें संबोधित करें।
डॉक्टर सरोज बाला जी, माय फ्रेंड शक्ति, प्रभा जी और यहाँ पर मौजूद सभी राम भक्त, और मैं कहूँगा हमारे सरोज भक्त भी, क्योंकि हम सब जानते हैं कि मंदिर में प्रवेश करने के पहले जब तक मंदिर का दरवाज़ा नहीं खुलता तब तक हम प्रवेश करके भगवान को प्रार्थना नहीं कर सकते। तो दरवाज़ा खोलने वाला भी अंदर बैठे भगवान उतना ही कभी कभी ज़्यादा अहम बनता है। टुडे Saroj ji has really opened a door of knowledge, and we already had a faith in Rama, but today with this book, even those who may not be believing in him will have conviction that not only he lived, but each and every part of his life has been truly depicted in many scriptures, and now it is proven by irrefutable evidence of science by Saroj Bala ji. So I think all those who believe in Ram must thank her for contributing to this book and making this happen, because even after that, everybody, it is said that maternity is a speculation, is a certainty, and paternity is a speculation. Even those, if everybody keeps coming and telling, prove me, how is she your mother, how is your father? After some time, even the devoted child will start feeling, what is this, why are they asking me questions like this? And there, this particular book, I think is the first effort of this kind, which now dispels all this so-called false propaganda and deliberate attempts to make us believe that yes, you can worship Ram, but he never existed. And I think book like this could have been written only in India. It cannot be written in any other country. For example, Ram is our forefather, he is our most devoted, we are all devoted to him. But any other country in the world, you think somebody will have to make an effort to prove us scientifically that someone who millions and almost 1 billion people believe in, he has to be proved scientifically that he existed. There is no other country in the world, no society in the world, there would be need to write a book like this. But we have a people who deliberately want to challenge and deliberately to say that he never existed. There was somebody, politician, who said Ram never existed. But after some time he said he was a drunkard. How could someone who never existed could be a drunkard to begin with? But even in a country like this can happen. And therefore, I think we all those who live in India, owe it to her that she has now proved with scientific evidence. And why was the science necessary? Does anybody ask us that please prove that you are a child of these parents? Do DNA tests, prove biologically how you exist? But therefore I said it can happen only in India, and therefore such a book could have been written only in India. And who has written it? All of you know, of course, she was a very distinguished revenue service officer. She was a member of the Central Board of Direct Taxes. A person who spent all her life in the government, and normally after spending so much of life in the government, people really look forward to. I know many officers who, the last year of their posting, they look forward to what can I get after retirement, which regulatory body, any commission, somewhere I can get posted. She was waiting to retire so that she can devote her energy for writing a book of this kind. And it is based, each and every word written in this book is based on research. Either it is anthropology, archaeology, architecture, geology, you name the science, and each one of that has been derived from that. In fact, the other day she was telling me that many of these findings that she has made as a scientific finding, I said, where did you find it? She said, it's all lying in the archives. But we didn't want to go through it because we had running an agenda. We wanted to prove that this is all a myth, nothing is real. And therefore, this world, where, as I said, no child is asked to prove every day that prove your parents. How do you make that you are son of this father and this mother? But in India it can happen, and only to counter this vicious, fallacious campaign, we had to actually, she had to write a book like this. And here now you could see some few slides. Just imagine those who believe in astrology or those who believe in science. For them, it's an eye-opener. Now, how do you make sure, how do you counter this? That this is proved beyond doubt that on the particular day, the planetary position was like this. Now, what is the date where it is derived from? That nobody had a capacity to write a planetary position like this. And therefore, this is now a completely corroborated and unchallenged evidence which is now put forward before us. I don't know how to thank her. There are millions of Ram Bhakts who do Ram Leela year after year. The Ram Kathas are recited for thousands of years. But all of them could not produce a book like this. To say that he'll say, don't ask me this. And that is correct. If somebody is saying that don't ask me this, he's absolutely right. Why should I believe in my Ram? I know exactly he was there. Why should I say something? But those people also should be indebted to her. That all these years, thousands of years that we have been doing this, year after year, you go to, that day I was surprised, in Delhi, there are some 300-400 Ram Leelas in Delhi. In UP, Bihar, I don't know how many. So this is going on for years after years. This is our belief or faith, but unfortunately, some people challenged it, and therefore this book had to be written. At a time when the birthplace of Ram is fully proved, even the court it is proved, now it's a time that we want to make sure that that particular place becomes a place of worship, because where you will worship? You will worship at a place where there is a place to worship. You will not go to worship, like for example, if I go to my family house, when you find roots, you go to a family house. Can you go to a family house which is not my family house? If I want to visit my family house, where I will go? I will go to my family house. So if you want to worship at a place, obviously you will worship at a place where there is a birthplace. And a birthplace is proved, and now I think even judiciary will have to depend on this book. They will have to see this evidence, which is completely scientific, and we now believe so-called science. But I think even there is no need for something like this. But as I said, in India we needed it, and therefore I think this book again is going to help us. Even I'm sure for all those who are judicious-minded to get convinced that there is no other reason not to believe in this particular book. So I really thank her for this. As a income tax commissioner, I'm sure she would be doing a lot of scrutiny, because income tax returns are subject to scrutiny. So I think this book is also as a result of her mind of doing that scrutiny of new ideas and doing it. And I think she has used all her technical skills to go below the surface and find a truth and bring it to the fore. And that's why I really wish to thank her and congratulate her. We are very fortunate that we are such a distinguished scholars amongst us. Because we have been seeing, and she used that word correctly, very deliberate attempt to distort our history. There is no other country in the world that would have been subjected to such huge crimes. We have an international court of justice to try war crimes. I don't know what kind of crime is this to distort a real history. Now, to prove that, your book has come to a rescue. That this is how it actually was. Just imagine what is the effect of that distortion. Today, we want to believe, and she has written that other book, that Dravidians are here where the Aryans came from outside. All of this has created such a rift in the society for no reason. And this is a deliberate attempt to make this happen. And now, one way to fight it, you can go to the streets and fight it. But other way to do it is to do an exercise like this. Now let somebody come forward and say this is not right. This is the only way we should try to counter it. And I'm sure this book will be a great contribution, not only to our faith in Ram gets even more strengthened, that always was there. But now to hit back at these deliberate attempts made by these very spurious kind of people who have been working on this very deliberately. So I think we are really thankful to Saroj Balaji for doing something like this, and really, really eternally grateful to you for doing this. All of those who know her will not be surprised. She's the most dedicated and committed person. She has been doing this for no expectation, nothing. She just wanted to write this book as her duty as an Indian, as a person who lived in India, who knows what was the reality. So she is only trying to put truth before the people with evidence that is really so strong. I think it's our duty now. And I was telling that day to some people, what is that we should do? I think there should be a proper campaign. I am happy that Jay Kumar is here. He is from Vigyan Bharati. I think this is a book of science. But all the Parivar people must come together. And every district, I think we should organize a seminar on this book. Let everybody come and challenge it. Let somebody come and say this is not true. What is not true? Show us what is not true. Why? Let them come and challenge it. So we should now use it as a tool for people to come and say, please tell me which of this part of the book you are saying is not correct. Bring evidence. Don't say just like that. So this is how our history has been distorted deliberately without any substantiation. People just came out with a theory, first decided I want to do this theory, and then they decided to bring out with some concocted stories. So this is how the history has been written for India. So today, we have such a strong book, science, evidence, everything, modern science. NASA, she has used even NASA imageries, satellite imageries. So now, I think what we should do, every district of India, we must have seminars on this. Let's go house to house and tell people, well, this is the book, you want to believe in it or not. Why? Because there has been deliberate attempt. That's why I'm saying this was not necessary had there not been such a deliberate attempts to counter it. And we have to counter it. So therefore we must do this. And I really therefore feel this is our duty now, because she has done a great job, written this book, taken so much of pain. And Prabhatji, as always, has now printed, he has been publishing books of this kind only. He never publishes any book about what something happened, some scandal, something, nothing. He writes book purely for such subjects. And therefore, very luckily, book is also released in a place, Shakti is there. So I think all the planetary position in the right place. Shakti is there, Saroj is there, Prabhatji is also. So now our job is to take advantage of this good planetary position and take it to the right kind of people. First, not necessarily to all districts, at least whatever think tank. I think if you think Shakti is appropriate, we can call one seminar little later. Call even those people who deliberately are trying to counter it and try to put them in front of us. Let us talk to them and try to know what basis you are saying he never existed. I think this could be a right way to do correction to a historical distortion. And therefore it's really necessary that we must do it and do it as far as possible. That's one step. Second, as I said, try to show this to as many people. Even district level, the journalists, we should try to have a program for them and tell them, sir, this is a book which has been written with this such an evidence. There should be reviews of this all over. And that's the only way we will be doing our duty towards the posterity. Because after some time, if this book was not written, this kind of false propaganda, deliberate attempts could prevail. Sometime you never know. Because people after all sometimes say, ये लोग ऐसे बोलते रहते. But now, with this, nobody has any chance of saying this. But to do this, we must actually run an aggressive campaign to do this. And we are willing to be part of this. And I think this should be our real responsibility towards making it happen. So we are extremely proud, and she was saying very interesting thing. How Ram became God. See, because what is the perception of God? The God, we all believe that everybody is a God. That's what we believe in. We say, हमारा आत्मा परमात्मा के साथ लिंक हो जाता है तो सब हो जाएगा. तो परमात्मा और आत्मा का लिंक है ही है. So everybody, human being, could be a God. This is what Gautam Buddha had said, that everybody can be Buddha. You don't have to be anybody. You can be Buddha, I can be Buddha. Ram was such a perfect person that he became God, because perfection is God. That's what he reached that stage. And therefore, we believe him in as a God for a simple reason, because we know his personality, his life, his complete journey. He traveled all his life. We know exactly each part of that, and that's why we worship him as a God. Because we know he was a completely perfect human being who lived and did everything that a human being should be doing, and therefore he becomes our ideal also. And therefore, I really wish it's our duty as a devotee to Ram as a God. We must try to do this, and this is the best way to perform it. So Ram Navami is once in a year. But I think we really want to pay our homage to him. We should try to do it, and at least every person can find one day in a week, try to take important parts of this book and try to convince others that this is what it is written. Now, what you have to say about this? I think this will be really necessary, and particularly, and Shakti, I think that is what we can do. We can join hands, India Foundation, everybody, we can come together and get those people who have been deliberately spreading misinformation and try to counter them with this book. This is our armory. This is what we should try to do it, and we'll really try to make it forward. So once again, we are very fortunate that we are such a great person as our colleague who has been doing such a fantastic work. She keeps writing. She's working on some other book. She wants to do this. And she could also write on many things. She could have written on commentary on Income Tax Act. That she could have done better way. And that will also sell better, because chartered accountant like me will go and buy such a book. But she has decided to work on subject like this. I think this is on behalf of all of us. So this is our duty to take it forward. So ji, thank you very much. I don't know why you invited me to launch this book anyway. But I think as Ram Bhakt, this was my responsibility and duty to come and do this. I really thankful to you. Thankful to all of you for being here. I really look forward to taking this message forward till such time that this deliberate propaganda and misinformation campaign stops. Thank you very much.